my name is Casey Hucks, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I have had a very exciting life with a lot of ups and a whole lot of downs. I have moved around and met countless people that have touched me in ways that I can't even explain. I have always taken the good as a blessing from God and the bad as a life lesson. Even though my life has been a roller coaster, I wouldn't change a thing about it. Because all the bad times are the ones that have made me who I am today. To truly understand who I am, you have to understand three things: my love for music, that my mother is my best friend, and my 6-year stint in the military. Music is such a huge part of my life. I discovered it when I was very, very young. My mother loves music just as much as I do, and I grew up on all the oldies, and Aerosmith was a huge part of my childhood. Music has a way of being able to put me in a certain mood depending on the type of music that I'm listening to. Oldies makes me want to dance, hip-hop makes me want to go party, and then oldies rock puts me in a very mellow mood. Me and my mother live together, but I will get back to that later. And since she loves music just as much as I do, every time we have a chance to turn it up and dance, we do it. Our schedules are different though. I get up at 3 in the morning every morning, and she gets up at 6. But every morning that we have free, you can guarantee our house is blasting with music and we're dancing and singing. My favorite thing about music is the lyrics. They always seem to have a meaning to me and seems to always go with what's going on in my life at that time. Music also helps me with my writings. I have a friend back in Florida that is making a music album, and I write his lyrics for him. Now, getting back to my mother. My mother is one of the biggest parts of my life. She truly is my best friend. She has always been there for me, and she's been on my side even when no one else was. She has never given up on me when most of the people in my life has and was abandoning me. My mother has been the best counselor. Even from an early age, she has always been open and has told me that I can talk to her about anything, even things that children don't want to talk to their parents about. I was able to, and she understood. And she never judged me for anything, and she always told me no matter what, she still loves me and knows I can get through anything, and turns out she was correct. We have guided each other through hard times our entire life, and we have gone from mother-daughter to best friend. As I mentioned earlier, my mother and I still live together. When I got back from the military, my parents split up after 33 years of marriage, and my mother did not want to be alone, so we got a house together. We lived there for a little over a year, and I ended up getting engaged. My mother got over the divorce, and then I called the engagement off, and I finally got over that. Then we both obtained jobs here in Sikeston. We ended up moving to Sikeston, and we still live together to this day. Another big part of my life was my 6 years in the military. It was truly a life-changing event, one that I honestly cannot describe, because trying to get anyone to feel what I felt the whole time would be absolutely impossible. I joined right out of high school at age 18. I was very excited to leave Missouri. I always wanted to leave here and do something great and just get away from the small town life. I was a little nervous though when I left. When I got to the boot camp, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. The instructors were screaming and yelling at us. They had us in the same clothes for an entire day. They were splitting us up into different flights. My best friend also joined with me, and we got split up and put into different training sections. And then after that, I only seen her 2 times. Once in boot camp for a brief second, and then one time over Christmas break for the weekend. And then the year after that, she had got into a car accident and passed away. And I was devastated. I knew legally at age 18, you are considered a grown-up. But in reality, 18 does not prepare you for the adult life of the military. I was forced to abandon my need for fun and friends and focus strictly on my school, living in a room with 2 girls with no privacy and a lot of frustration. I grew up way too fast for that first year, but made up for it at my first station. I was a special operations combat medic, and the school was a 2-year medic school, an LPN school, and an RN school, all crammed into 6 months. Book work is not my strong point, so the fast-paced school was almost impossible. But I got through it and was moved to Fort Walton Beach, Florida, for my first station. I was assigned to flight medicine, working with nothing but flyers, doing all the clinical and emergency stuff. I did all the special ops physicals for all the combat controllers, the PJs, the TACPs, and any other special ops guys that came through the base. I was then moved to deployment, and that's when I realized how bad deployments really were. I would have normal guys come through, and a year later, they would be back with all kinds of injuries and mental disorders from what they had experienced over there. And some just never came back. I never deployed, and seeing how those guys came back made me a little grateful that I didn't. There was always a little part of me that just wanted to say that I could, but I think God knew what He was doing and knew that I couldn't handle it. In April of 2009, I was honorably discharged. It was voluntary, but I was still extremely sad about leaving the military. I was very, very comfortable there. I had good pay, great friends, and a very respected job. When I left, I came back home and started to work at Buffalo Wild Wings as a bartender and a server. I felt as if maybe I had downgraded because I had all this training and was putting it to no use. It was a pretty difficult transition that took a couple of years to deal with and get used to not being in the military, but I know God took me out for a reason, and that reason